Hey everyone, it's Jasmine from New Paradigm Beings. Welcome back to my channel. Alright, this is a little bonus video in this series. I decided to release this a lot earlier than I anticipated due to the wait I'm experiencing because of some difficulties in editing. So, forgive me, but I hope this video finds you well. Alright, this video is called Phantom Depression. Twin flames and phantom depression. This is something that's a little more special. I feel, as far as the topic goes, this is actually, I feel this is very experimental when it comes to like research psychology, parapsychology, and as far as what I define as phantom depression, I'm going to give you a scenario, okay? Picture this. You are in a relatively neutral space, just very calm, very normative, just very grounded in the sense. And suddenly, this wave of depression moves through you like a weather current. This wave of depression just moves through you and possesses you. When you are present in this feeling, so meaning when you're not in a state of judgment, when you are just there and present and feeling this sensation, you find that you are in its real-time causation. Okay, so this means that you are within the very reason you're experiencing the side effects of being within this feeling, as if it was just done to you and now you have to saturate within that feeling. So that means you might not be showing it on the outside, especially if this happens when you're in front of other people, which it can, like it did with me. You are mourning, you are hopeless, you are despairing, you feel like you're dying, like you feel like you're rotting at the soul, and you are detached from your current surroundings. It's just like how you would define depression, but it's just like this sudden oncoming of depression. And I'm sure people that have come before us in studying mental illness and depression probably have something to define this, perhaps this sudden onset of where the hell did this depression come from. Okay, so before that, when you were actually you were in a colorful surrounding, you were interacting, you were speaking to people, you were exchanging, having just a conversational exchange. The sunlight was coming in, and you were probably eating a salad or something like that. Well, for some reason, after this spirit possesses you, your surroundings become grayscale, and you find yourself in this bubble. This bubble all by yourself, feeling these things while everything else in your surroundings continue along, like just continuum just keeps on. Everything around you, like the people interacting with you, are just continuing to go about their tasks. They're continuing speaking with one another. Their life is just continuing. Suddenly yours has stopped and everything has turned gray. So again, you could have been until that instant of depression, you could have been partying, you could have been just communing with other people, breaking the bread, drinking the wine, and probably you could have even been in the middle of a fantastic conversation, and one that was just brightening your day, and you could have even been just spacing out, just staring out into space and just looking at the cat at the neighbor's window, you know, just spacing out. And in comes this unwanted, this mysterious phantom depression to stop you right in your tracks, you know. So this phantom depression was obviously, it's obviously uninvited. Um, but as uninvited and unwelcome as it was just an entity that was a perfect match for your reception, like a flashback or a radio wave. For some reason, your frequency was able to attach to this signal and become one with your perception. All right? So, once again, for some reason, you were in a great space, and now suddenly everything just becomes very dark and gloomy, and there's no hope. For just 1 second, there's just no hope in the world. And so you suddenly find yourself dealing with this episode, and like I said, it may not show on the outside of your face if you're in front of someone like I was, but it could, if it affects you, you're probably by yourself, you're probably showing some type of emotions, or crying, or digging deep, digging into yourself. But I want to talk about my experience first, before I get further into detail. Up until now, when I experience phantom depression, I am able to, nowadays, I'm able to really recognize this entity, or this spirit, or this breath, this instance, and rise back into reality. I'm able to somehow recognize and remember, or realize the temporality in this state of being, and snap myself out of it and come back to the surface. And I'll and be able to match my real surroundings again, as if I woke up to the fact that, oh, this is just a passing spirit. The minute I do that, it like all of those feelings, all of that depression vanishes with it. So it's just like noticing, like, for example, the wind blows and a piece of lint is on my shoulder, or I don't notice the lint, and then I look at my shoulder and there's a piece of lint there, and I just give it like, you give that piece of lint like a 1-2 examination, and then you just dust it off. Like, oh, okay, you're there. Okay. And you dust it off. Because you don't, okay, there's a piece of lint there. I can just pluck that off. I don't have to suffer it there any longer. That's what it was like learning to deal with the phantom depression at this stage in my life, since the last time it happened to me. Which isn't really very often. And only quite recently have I been able to identify and put this phenomena into words. So my last episode was around Christmas Eve, New Year's, 2018 to 19. I was just at the table. I was enjoying family. I was enjoying the adults. I was enjoying just everybody's company. I was involved. I was eating my food, and then all of a sudden something just zaps the life out of me. And I'm kind of just like wallowing and sitting there and feeling the rot. And everywhere I look, things continue to move around and do as life does, but except now I feel a million miles away. Now everything is like losing its color, and I just feel like it feels like I don't belong. And then suddenly somehow I find it in myself. Somehow I find this switch that's on the inside, and I decide to flip it. Like, oh wait, this is interesting, but it's kind of silly to just stay here in this muck of my emotions. And so I just like coming up out of a pool, I just decide to step out of it. So I stepped out of it. I turned that switch off, and then all of a sudden I'm back I'm back to reality. I'm back seeing things for what they really are. Um, I just picked up where I left off. Very just a very interesting. It was actually at that moment that I realized, holy crap, this is actually a thing. And I just pulled myself out of it, probably consciously for the first or second time. And then I decided, okay, well, I've honestly stumbled upon a piece of information here, and I decided to coin this sensation, phantom depression. So I'm intimate enough with my spiritual practice to understand that this depressive phenomena was a complete contradiction to my current state of alignment. When I looked at the current patterns that I had been experiencing in my life, in the current state of events, and my inner work, and my aptitude to face my challenges, I realized that my vibration was actually in a near perfect state as of recently, or even more than recently, definitely more than recently, actually. And so this possession was actually highly uncharacteristic for me. And that's why I say it was a contradiction to my state of alignment. It kind of made no sense, and that fascinated me. But if I look in retrospect, in the far past, when I was in a different part of this journey, this phantom depression used to just sweep over me and overtake me at times. It used to, and now that I think about it, we may have those, we may actually have experiences like that with anxiety. And now that I think about it, I had to get really clear about the reason with that as well. But I'm gonna segment that anxiety part out probably for another video. However, as far as depression is concerned, with it having to deal with, I guess they say depression usually deals with the past, and the anxiety usually deals with the future. I was able to nowadays leap out of that pool, so to speak. So that's actually given me a little bit to think about. Having the depressive aspects possibly come from something that's already materialized, and then having the anxiety come from something that has not yet materialized. Honestly, that drives me into my next theory. But in the past, getting back on track, this phantom depression used to overtake me at times. Like when it would sweep over me, I would completely crumble to it. I would really succumb to the feeling, the crush, the realness, and I would just sit there and feel really sorry for myself, and just feel sorry for everything. And I would wake up, and if not by the morning, by the next afternoon, I was okay. Of course, like, that's just respecting the natural cycle of things, like the dip and the highs. Like, of course, we're gonna have throughout our lives, but just going to sleep and letting the sun the day do its work when it purifies the darkness that we felt the night before. That's that's on a more serious note for like people who are actually suicidal. That's why a lot of people who have been suicidal suggest to other people just sleep it off, because the natural circadian rhythm, the universal circadian rhythm, will actually help to take care of that. But when people are, of course, are in that bubble, they can't. It's really hard to see anything else. So I've never had a depressive cycle that was like suicidal, but phantom depression. In the past I used to really it mastered. I let it master over me, and then suddenly it was gone, which kind of made it worse because I was like, well, it's not even something I can find answers in or seek help for, because it's something that would be like, it would be gone so fast. It was almost silly that it did even happen. I have a few theories about this experience. I used to have this massive feeling when it came to world catastrophes, sometimes personal catastrophes. I don't know if I could really put this in the anxiety or the depressive department. I think I could stretch it into both, um, because it was such a holistic sensation of maybe not impending doom, but like it was definitely like a, a storm cloud and a static electric cloud were just like fizzing over me. When it came to world disasters and catastrophes, like many mass shootings that have been reported on the news for the past 2 or 3 years, sensing that my grandfather something was going to happen to my grandfather before he actually fell and broke his hip, sensing that I still get visions, like sensing, except today I don't like I don't get these crazy feelings, like sensing that somebody's gonna die or my friend's gonna die, or get visions, or purely emotional or purely physical instances of catastrophes about to befall the planet or the news or our minds. Because I know, like, at the end of the day, it's about news reporting and reporting catastrophe and spreading catastrophe. I would feel something coming. My lymph nodes, my sweat glands, everything would in my mind, everything would start to kind of go into overtime, and I learned to realize that this was actually a sensory gift. Um, so I would I would feel the phenomenon already. I would go into a space and respect, like, oh my god, something is about to happen, or I'm feeling something across the barrier of time, the barrier of the present. And I would actually so there would kind of be a panicky feeling. And so with that being said, of course the feeling would eventually would relieve itself, but I ended up like the next day on the news you had Las Vegas shooting, Miami club shooting. It was right on the dot. And I got used to respecting that gift of mine. However, phantom depression in this case is incredibly different from that. So I know that phantom depression is not linked with my ability to sense catastrophe or impending catastrophe in the world. Um, in fact, my my gift of that, or my psychic gift, is actually not super personal. I would be able to sense these things, but they wouldn't like come in as an interactor, like a personal interactor with what is going on. Like the catastrophe had nothing personal to do against me or for me. It was just there. That's what it was. That's the weight that I felt. But phantom depression is as personal as it can get. Like, it is like a neighbor, it's like a twin brother, it's like someone that inhabits with you. It's like yourself. Like, it's like I said, it's like it's like a frequency that is such a match for you. It works like radio waves. It works like a flashback to a Vietnam veteran. That's how personal phantom depression is. It's emotional and familiar. It's anthropomorphic in the sense that it's like it fits your special uniqueness. Like it's just completely one with you in a way. I kind of call it phantom depression is like a carbon copy empathy. It's an exact copy of empathetic experience to whatever the hell. Okay, so that's okay, so that's one theory I kind of rule out. It's not my ability to attach to catastrophe necessarily. World catastrophe. Okay, B, theory number 2. It is possible that I am receiving surrounding cases of depression or ghosts. So proxemics, the space that we share with other people, things, etc. And our ability to pick up the electromagnetic field of whatever's around us, whether it be like a table or, I don't know, like a person, just an emotional like tether that we share with other people to be able to sense like, oh my god, I think something's going on with my mom, but that's just a feeling, I'm just her daughter, let's see, all I can know is if I speak to her, maybe I'll find whether or not that's true. So proxemics, like we know that people who identify or may identify as empaths will pick things up like that very dearly. Okay, maybe it could be, sometimes I feel if this is something that's already grounded or already from a past conjuring, as depression might do, let's see, you could be phantom depression, I'm sorry, this could be maybe I was picking up past life crap since I was around my family, I was on my ancestral land. Who knew who was coming in and out of the house? I mean, I could have been picking up a past life trauma. Ancestors coming in and out, ghosts, something. It could have been something from someone else's past or our shared past that still needs to be processed personally or as a collective. And then, of course, it could be ill wishes, which is rare. I mean, I hope nobody's really wishing ill against me and harm against me. But hopefully my least favorite of these this possibility is that someone is cursing me. You know, I hopefully that's not the case. So yeah, those are the only ideas I had come up with. It could be someone could be pushing their expectations onto me and maybe projecting a certain expectation onto me, but basically, who knows? So that being said, I have not yet peered deeply enough or thoroughly inward enough to find these things out for myself. I have not researched whether or not past lives or ancestors could be communicating or attaching to me for me to have these episodes of phantom depression and the way that they have been so hooked to me. Okay, so but what I can say for certain is that this is not your average Joe empathy. This is not your everyday empathic experience. Need a little bit of bourbon. My number 1 theory, however, is that it's simply my twin flame. One, because it's usually my instincts. Like, it's just usually my foremost instinct. Like, oh my god, this just happened to me. And, the only thing that doesn't match that is my physical and current space. But that feeling and that sensation matches me perfectly because I know it was done to me personally. Although our 3D minds would not be able to solve that level of empathy. So, I mean, given the precision of contact, the familiarity that feeling has, the feeling is kind of like spirit communicating to to me directly, except when spirit, as we refer to it, is holy, right? Um, and this feeling, it feels, this phantom depression feels like such the opposite, but it's just that direct personal nature it had when it swept me over. And again, given the negative correlation it had with my ego, like, Jasmine is great, I am suddenly not great. Just that weird Jekyll and Hyde-ness of the experience, it kind of leads me to think that that's what the definition of something happening on the other side of your soul is like in real time. Now, of course, we don't have a video camera to like capture all these things. And, the YouTube twin flame craze kind of has these, God, it has so much emotional, excuse me, emotional craziness going on already with the videos and the technology. But I'm coming to speak about this from a very grounded source. If we, those of us who are on this journey, we can identify the pain in our loved one as our own, which is a very classic symptom of being two as one. That's just how I simply put it. And as this reminds me of why our twin flames are the best healing tool. Because we can go within and not alienate these sudden feelings, or not be scared out of our diapers about how intense this is, and go in and really, really deal with it, and be personal, and be communicative, and be compassionate. No matter what side it's coming from one side, because it's something that's chose us, it's something that's one with us. And I'm trying to demystify that with you all here today. So there was a time period where I received instances of smoky shortnesses of breath. Like I would just be relaxing, and suddenly I'd inhale, and it would feel like my lungs were like filled with smoke or something, or like the aftermath of smoking. I would have a shortness of breath, like my as if my diaphragm couldn't expand all the way, or that my my lungs had some type of suffocating substance inside of it. So each time I would get a visual of my twin, each time I would actually, every time I had these sensations in my lungs, I would get a visual of my twin flame smoking, which he used to do habitually. Like a lot of people do today, just habitually smoke. And I really wasn't sure how to, I didn't want to be creepy, but at the same time, I didn't want to be aloof. So, I decided to, like, with the help of spirit, I decided to reach out and ask him about his habit. And so he told me that he had quit smoking, but he had occasionally picked up a cigarette every now and then for his anxiety. And so relatively, I didn't, there was really no surprise there. There was just no wonder in that. Okay, so I knew we were connected, and that's what was probably going on. And those feelings would be very uncomfortable when they'd happen to me, and I would feel anxious. But I actually learned how not to fight that type of feeling or that type of sensation, and because it happened to me, it's mine. That's how I think of things. Like, it's not about where it's coming from. If I feel it, it's mine, and it's only my responsibility to go inside and take that and deal with it like my own baby. And keep myself in the alignment and vibration that only I can keep myself in, and that I'm obligated to keep myself in. So in this instance of phantom depression with being a twin flame, and our practice, all I can think to do in this trying situation is to embrace embrace the spirit, like embrace my twin flame, send comfort and understanding and compassion and non-judgment, and keep rising, keep step out of this pool. See, look towards the sun and transmute. This is just transmutation. This is what transmutation and alchemy is about. In taking that responsibility, I've seen ridiculous like transformation on my twin flame journey and in my life. I'm just watching my life become the magical heaven that I always saw it as, and this is me decoding the process of how we get there. Which is really exciting. I'm glad to have this information to take to you all. And finally, I would really appreciate any thoughts or comments that you all have to take upon this presentation. I'm really interested in your thoughts and comments. Please post them down below. Leave whatever feedback that you like, but I'd really like to hear your thoughts and comments about this. Have you experienced this before yourself? Can you identify a time where you experienced this on your own? And for anybody who might be dealing with the treachery of phantom depression, I hope this maybe finds you so that you can start to find the steps to cope with that and become friends with that and transmute on your own. So, thank you all once again. This is Jasmine Aguilar from New Paradigm Beings, and I hope this has blessed you. All right. With that being said, everyone, have a wonderful week, and I'll see you again soon. All right. Bye-bye.